For years, the online Republican movement and conservative talk radio and TV spent oodles of time telling us that Democratic politicians and other wealthy liberal donors were knee-deep in a conspiracy / cover-up involving Jeffrey Epstein, the financier who was charged with sexual trafficking for his use of women, very young women, that would all come out once Republicans were in charge. We would find all of this information out, this massive cover-up exposed. And then Monday happened, when the Department of Justice, which is led by Attorney General Pam Bondi, a Donald Trump appointee, and the FBI, which is led by Kash Patel, a Republican nominee, Donald Trump pick, put out a 2-page memo that concluded that after let me read it to you. This systematic review of the Epstein information, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Now, it also notes, consistent with prior disclosures, this review confirmed that Epstein harmed over 1,000 victims. I mean, this is terrible stuff of what Jeffrey Epstein did. But in this context, I think it's a really important thing to note that Republicans, including, by the way, the deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, who was a talk radio host prior to this job, spent so much time telling us that Bill Clinton and Bill Richardson, the late New Mexico governor, and other wealthy liberals, that they were working to cover up all of this stuff, and that Epstein, who committed suicide in prison, actually hadn't committed suicide. He had been murdered, and all of this was very suspicious. And then we get this report out of the Donald Trump Department of Justice and the Donald Trump FBI that says, actually, what's been reported is accurate. He committed suicide. There was no list of Epstein's clients, and he wasn't blackmailing prominent people because of their connections to him. Now, let me stop there for a sec and say, I want you to subscribe to this channel for a lot of reasons, but I'll give you the most important one. I'm independent. I'm independent from big corporate media, and I'm independent from the two political parties. I will call balls and strikes without fear or favor. I don't care whether it's a Republican, a Democrat, or anybody else. I'm going to tell it like it is for you. You are my only bosses. So I need you to subscribe and support what I'm doing. All right, so let's talk about the reaction. So the FBI and the DOJ comes out with this this 2-page memo that basically says, oh, remember all those things that we said about conspiracies? Yeah, don't worry about any of that. And the online right, led by people like Laura Loomer, Robbie Starbuck, they say this is ridiculous. That someone is lying here. Pam Bondi should be fired. Let me read you a tweet from Robbie Starbuck. He said, Pam Bondi said the Epstein client list was on her desk to review for release to the public just a few months ago. Now the DOJ she leads claims that there's no Epstein client list. Sorry, but this is unacceptable. Was she lying then, or is she lying now? We deserve answers. Now, I want to dig into Pam Bondi in a sec because it's a really important point. But I want to make one other broad point that I'll come back to, which is this is what happens when the dog catches the car. This is what happens when you spend years telling people and convincing people that the deep state has all of these secret plots and plans, and then you win and become the deep state. And then you tell people, oh, actually, everything's fine. It's all above board. And they don't believe you because the leopard eating faces party is now surprised. The leaders of that party are now surprised when the leopards are eating their faces. Yeah, that's what's happening here. All right, so let's talk about Bondi in particular. So Pam Bondi made it a big focus of her first 6-ish months as Attorney General to get all of the Epstein files released. Now, she did this in large part because Donald Trump wanted her to, but also because this, as I mentioned, had become a real cause celeb among the online right. This idea that Joe Biden had covered this stuff up because Democratic politicians or Democratic donors were implicated and that Epstein hadn't in fact committed suicide in jail. And it was all going to come out. And she said over and over again, we're going to release everything. And the particular mistake she made was in a February interview with Fox News. And in that interview, Bondi said she was asked about a Epstein client list by John Roberts, the Fox News anchor. And she said it was, quote, sitting on my desk right now to review. That's a direct quote. Now, given what we think we now know, that can't be true. You can't review a list that doesn't exist. That's basic math, people. So why did she say what she said? Well, I mean, I do think one explanation is that she said what she said because she knew the online right and the sort of conservative talk radio right was very fired up about this. And she wants to have those people on her side. And one of the ways to get those people on her side is to say, oh yeah, you guys were right about all this. I'm going through it now and we're going to expose all of this. But there was no client list, according to Pam Bondi. Now, not Pam Bondi in February when she was going through the client list. So that's option one. Option two is that Donald Trump's name is on, that the client list exists, number one. And number two, Donald Trump's name is on the client list. Now, we know that Donald Trump and Epstein were friendly. Now, he was friendly with lots of people. We know that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private plane. Now, lots of people traveled on his private plane, including Bill Clinton. We know that Elon Musk, the former bromance partner of Donald Trump, said when that relationship went sour, said a month or so ago, that Donald Trump's name was on the Epstein client list. Now, Musk has since taken that tweet X down and sort of disavowed it, but he did say it. So another explanation could be there is a client list. Bondi wasn't lying when she said what she said in February, but Donald Trump's name is on the client list, and therefore the client list is never going to see the light of day in a Trump administration. But look, that in some ways, everyone is focused on Bondi, and I get it, because she is now on the record saying things that are directly contradictory. In February, she said she was reviewing the client list and it was going to come out. In July, she said there is no client list. Okay, so both of those things can't be true. But to me, the broader point here is this is what happens when you spend literally decades convincing people, your supporters, that there's a broad-scale conspiracy, right? That Vince Foster was murdered. He didn't commit suicide. He was murdered by the Clintons. That, all of these nefarious plots are going on. It is very hard to have people turn off the conspiracy thinking switch in their brain. Because people like Dan Bongino, the now deputy FBI director, he spent decades making money, I would argue, I know, off of fomenting conspiracies, including the Epstein conspiracy. So now that you're in office, when you say, well, actually, all that stuff was bull, like it's not true, like he did commit suicide, people aren't going to believe it because you have conditioned them not to believe it. Right? Again, I'll say this again because I think it's important. The top officials in the leopard eating faces party are shocked that leopards are now eating their faces. This is the world that Donald Trump, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, lots of other officials in Trump world built. This is the world they built. And this is the world that is now turning against them because, again, you can't just say, well, all those conspiracy theories we said were true, they aren't anymore, but you should just believe us because we're in office now and you voted for us. That's not how it works. Conspiracy thinking can't be switched off like a light switch. And when you foment it for years and years and years, you reap the rewards, or whatever the opposite of the rewards are. And that's what's happening to the Trump administration right now. The online right do not believe them about Epstein because those very same people conditioned them to not believe people like them in positions of power. It's a remarkable thing. Couple things. As I said earlier, I hope you become a subscriber, independent from big legacy media, independent from the two political parties, shooting it straight for you. I also hope you like and comment on this video, not only because it helps me build community, but it also helps me get my stuff out to people who are not already subscribers, which is part of my goal. Last thing you can do, just tell people that you see who are into politics or interested or politics adjacent about me and what I'm doing and why you think it's worthwhile checking out. All right, everyone, take care.